Ruchim Aboyim B'Shem Irgin Shir Torah, Moses Boston. I'd like to welcome everyone to tonight's shir. All the men here in the main shul, all the Nashim Tzidkaniyos upstairs and downstairs, and everyone who's listening in on phone or watching through the live broadcast. I'd like to give a big shakar to the supporters of tonight's shir. Palak family, Lili Nishmas, Mordcha, Ber Tzvi, V'Aisha Rivka, Basar Bavram Yitzchak, Al Shalom, Dr. and Mrs. Aaron Mandel, the Nishmas Imam, Leah Basachover, B'chaim, Zchaim L'Vracha, Regel the Yard Site, and the Isaacson family, the Nishmas, Harav Shlomo Ben Marina, Rav Yitzchak, Zchaim L'Vracha Yard Site, today Yud Beis Ov, and L'Havl B'chaim, L'Chaim L'Sus, V'chai, Sima Rezel, Basar Liba. I'd like to remind the Olam that Eigen Shir Torah lies in the support of the Tzibur to sponsor the Shiurim, so we can continue with our Batzis Torah for the community, as well as Eigen Shir Torah's annual dinner, which is upcoming Wednesday, August 15th, which helps Eigen Shir Torah support our Batzis Torah worldwide throughout the year. It's a perfect opportunity to put an ad in the journal in honor of a Maggid Shir whose Shiurim we've enjoyed, and help the Batzis Torah of Eigen Shir Torah. Call Eigen Shir Torah at 718-851-8651 or email tapecenter@yeshivanet.com. Tonight we have the cover to have with us once again Rabbi Moshe Tuvia Lieff, Shlita, Rav Agudas Yisroel, to speak about the topic of the beauty of every year. It's my cover to call Rav Lieff for tonight's drasha.
Shus the boss the Rebbe Shlita, Margonim of Eigen Shir Torah, Rav Agonim of Lazabald, and Rav Agonim of Deutsch. Achai v'rei. This isn't the first time that Klal Yisrael finds itself in a matzav where the fabric is torn. Bayazu Beis Dinoi u'mesakin levorach b'shem, which means that there was such sinas chinam and negativism, a difficult kufa for Klal Yisrael, that they enacted salutations of greetings invoking the name of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And Rashi says in Yevamis, it wasn't a bracha levatala. Hashem imochem, yivarechachu Hashem. When you bring the Rebbeinu Shalom into a conversation, then obviously it's going to be a positive conversation and people are going to get along. Rav Zatzal says an incredible chiddush. He says, Levorach b'shem means that Boaz made a bracha, a birchas hanenin. He had such tangible, physical pleasure when he met another yid that he made a bracha. You can't eat a piece of bread without making a bracha, a fruit without making a bracha. You can't greet another yid without a birchas hanenin. Now imagine someone's on the receiving end of that bracha. He's a shtickle verschlept, he lost his job, people don't give him much respect, he doesn't get an aliyah ever in shul. Once in a while he'll get psichas ha'oren, on a good day a glila. His wife has no respect for him, the children are mechutzafim. It's a terrible matzav. He walks downtrodden in the street thinking to himself, he has no purpose in life. And then all of a sudden the Gadol Ado Boaz sees him and he says, Baruch Ato Hashem Elokeinu melech haolam. He wouldn't make a bracha levatala. He has sheer physical pleasure from greeting him. And the same way the Gemara in Brachas brings the stira in Tehillim, L'Hashem ha'aretz ha'maloya v'aretz nasal v'nei adam. The world belongs to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. All that's in it, Hashem gave the world to mankind. Kan koydem ha'bracha, kan lacha ha'bracha. So here too, you can't be moil, take anything from the world without acknowledging who it belongs to. So Boaz was misakin that because he had such a tangible pleasure in greeting another Jew, he made a bracha, birchas hanenin. You know, today, when there are often, thank you very much. Thank you very much. Sagt, the Welt, l'chayr b'pashtus, when you have a lot of Mishalachim coming to your door, you also make a bracha. It's called Baruch Sheptorani. Bais made a bracha, Birchas Hanenin. Sounds very whimsical. Imagine the first survivor of Auschwitz walking underneath the gate, the sign Arbeit macht frei. You don't think he made a bracha when he saw another Yid? When they saw children still alive, wearing a yarmulke? You don't think that they made a bracha? That's the Birchas Hanenin that Bais made. There's a Gemara that says, Ha'omer, Sela Zul Tztaka, Amana She'ech Yebni Arezet Tzadik Gomer. Person says, I'm giving $100 to Tztaka on the condition that my child lives, he's a Tzadik Gomer. Why is he a Tzadik Gomer? He has a good cheshbon, he wants his child to live. He's not feeling well. I'll give $1,000, $10,000. Why is he a Tzadik Gomer? He's not giving it altruistically, he's giving it because he wants his child to live. So I thought to say pshat like this. There's a knock at the door. And the Meshulach fixes his tie, his hat, his beard, his payas, whatever he's got he doesn't have. And he walks in and he's ready for his presentation. He makes it or breaks it in the next 30 seconds. But before he can open his mouth, the homeowner jumps on him. He gives him a hug and a kiss. I can't believe you're here. We have a tzara. We need yeshuas. We need a skula. We need a schus. You're the schus. Who do I make it the check to? How much money do you want? You're such an incredible person. You're mamish mizaka us. Thank you so much for coming. And the Meshulach feels pretty good about himself. But let's say everybody's healthy in the house. It's a made-up story. Ha'omer sela zulat stoket teishech yibni arezet tzaka. He just says it. It's not true. But he doesn't want the Meshulach to feel that he's taking a pound of flesh. So he concocts a tale of someone not feeling well, the need for a Yeshua. Thank you, you're creating a schus for us. How can we ever repay you? And he gives him $1,000 or $50. That's the yesod of a oimer. Instead of a Baruch Sheptorani, welcome the schus, make it convenient and comfortable. Let the person feel he's doing you a favor, because in reality, that's what he's doing. I heard a gewaldige deher today from a very close friend of mine. A few blocks away, he's making a vort. His name is Rabbi Robert Shlita. He's from Minneapolis. And his Mechut Rabbi Gelbad would be here also with his wife, but they're the other side, and their daughter. Leah's getting married, B'sat Shmaya to Ruvain. Told me a meridik of vort. It hit home. I thought it was something that's very appropriate to share with you. There's a concept called Shabbos Mevorchim. And let's say it's all worked out. The Rebbe is Mevorech, the Rav, whoever, whatever. It's the same Shabbos, every Shabbos, same person. Nobody like vies for the attention of the Gabbai. They try to be on his good side. So he's able to get up there and do his thing. Shabbos Mevorchim. Was sagt man? Towards the end, Mishos Anisim Avaisenu. Begoal Isam me Avdus Lecheres. Who Yigal Isanu Bekorev. Yikabetz Nidachenu. Me'abakamfes Oretz. Chaverim Kol Yisroel V'nei Ma'omet. Was tut's doch doch Chaverim Kol Yisroel? You just said that Rosh Chodesh is on Tuesday. Chaverim Kol Yisroel. What does Chaverim Kol Yisroel V'nei Ma'omet have to do with Rosh Chodesh being on Tuesday? Shalom Bracha, Rabbi Tesla. It's a schus to have you. It's nice to see you. Al Kapanim, what is the pshat? Chaverim Kol Yisrael, Pluktzim Chaverim Kol Yisrael. Und so a starke kasha. You know what this Mevorchim HaChodesh mirrors? Not Kozovitsky and Chazanische Shtiklach. It mirrors Kiddush HaChodesh. That's what it is. Bezin said Mekudesh, and we knew Rosh Chodesh was on Tuesday. So we say, Rosh Chodesh Menachemov, Yiyeh B'yoim. Where are the Eidim? Where's the Jewish V'chakira? If it's a Ma'ain, a lek and a shmek of Kiddush HaChodesh has no shaykhs to Kiddush HaChodesh. You're just being machros. It's on Tuesday. Where the Eidim, where the witnesses, where's the corroboration and cross-examination, where's Bezdin declaring Sanhedrin, Mekudesh. Without that, it's not the new month. Teretz is like this. We're in Golus, we have no Beis HaMikdash. We announce when Rosh Chodesh is. And then we say, Mi she'osa nisim l'avoseinu. V'gol ha'isam me'avdos l'cheres. We've been in Golus before. There's Golus Mitzrayim, there's Auschwitz, there's Golus America, there's Churban Bayis Rishon, there's Churban Bayis Sheni, there's Chalmanitsky Yimach Shemoy, there's Stalin Yimach Shemoy. Mi she'osa nisim l'avoseinu v'gol ha'isam me'avdos l'cheres hu yigal ha'isanu b'korev. The Zelba Rabbeinu Shalom took us out of Auschwitz and took us out of Mitzrayim. Hu yigal ha'isanu b'korev. The gathering of the exiles from the four corners of the earth. And you know why? Because we're different, Rabbeinu Shalom. Chaverim kol Yisroel. We are chaverim. We're not just aspiring to be chaverim, we are chaverim. Chaverim kol Yisroel. Das is Kiddush HaChodesh. Chaverim kol Yisroel. That's Mevorchem HaChodesh. It's different. This month will be different. It's Chaverim Kol Yisroel. It's not just a question of seeing the good in others. It's seeing the good in ourselves. Because that's the starting point. The problem is that your friend is a reflection of yourself that you reflect onto him. Chazal say, Ein Adam Paisel Ela B'mumei Paisel. Person always sees his faults in someone else. You're getting all upset, fatutz, because the fellow's speaking Lashon Hara. Why is it bothering you so much? Because of the fact that you yourself are about Lashon Hara. And you see your faults in him, in her. In fact, the Baal Shem Tov explained this. The whole Yesod, the Gemara sagt, that you have to look at other people to be able to determine what's wrong in yourself. The Baal Shem Tov needed to do tshuva. He saw Chilul Shabbos. So he said to himself, if he's seeing Chilul Shabbos, it's because of the fact that he was Machal Shabbos himself. And the Rebbeinu Shem was giving him the ability to rectify his mistakes in the past by projecting it on someone else. So he looked through his history and he remembered that one time as a youngster, somebody was Mavaza Talmud Chacham Berabim and he wasn't Moicha, he didn't condemn. And the Gemara says that to be Mavaza Talmud Chacham is to be Machal Shabbos. So you need to see things in others to be able to figure out what ails you. How are you going to cure your temper if you don't see somebody else losing his temper? And he's so gone. Hakas takes a person out of the world. You see it on somebody else, you become better. And the lesson is really learned from Klal Yisrael. So steht in the Torah Agudas in Dvarim that Taragnu ba'olechem, Moshe Rabbeinu was narrating the history of Klal Yisrael. You were complaining, mumbling, grumbling, rebelling in your tents. V'taimru b'sinas Hashem ha'isanu yitzionu me'eretz Mitzrayim. Lo seisanu b'yadamayir lashmidenu. How could Klal Yisrael fathom that the Rebbeinu Shem hated them? To say those words, b'sinas Hashem ha'isanu. Zok Rashi, the Rebbeinu Shalom loved Klal Yisrael, but they felt hatred towards him, and mistakenly they felt that he hated them. Zok Rashi, this is the Chachomim. What you feel about someone else, you assume that he feels about you. The complaining, Eretz Acheles Yeshver, Do you realize what a chesed it was that wherever they went, there were Levites, they couldn't notice them, strangers in their midst. For over 400 years, they were waiting for them. You know, Eretz Yisroel is called Eretz Canaan in the Torah. It's not once ever called Eretz Yisroel in Chamisha Chumshei Torah. Why? Hashem gave the land to us, to Avram Avinu, to Yitzchak, to Yaakov. Why is it called Eretz Canaan? It says the Ramban HaKoras HaTov. Because the Canaanim dug in deep, and they cultivated the land, they civilized the land, they built fortresses, fortified cities and vineyards fully grown, so that when Klal Yisrael came 454 years later, they'd be able to walk into orchards and fruit and grapes and wheat and cultivated cities. Why did the Canaanim do that? You know, Nebuchadnezzar, Nebuzaradan, they had a gewaltige plan. You conquer the world. How do you take away the homegrown loyalty? You take the Italians, you put them in Brooklyn. You take the Mesopotamians and put them in Turkey. You move everybody all over the world. So why is he revolting? It's not for God, country, and homeland. He doesn't have a homeland. He doesn't belong there. 200 years ago they lived there. They realized, these kings, that if you take away the history, the connection to the land, and the people don't feel any loyalty or fealty, they're not going to revolt. The Canaanim went the other way. The Canaanim said, how are we going to guarantee and secure that our great-great-great-great-great-great-grandchildren over 400 years from now are going to be loyal to this land and fight to the death against the invaders, the Jews? Every bush is stamped Canaan. Every tree, every house, Canaan, 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 Canaan. So they were doing all of this to keep us out. And yet we still need HaKoras HaTov to them. Some Sefer says an unbelievable thing about HaKoras HaTov. Mashmu Hashamu Ba, Yisroel heard two things that changed his life. Kriyas Yamsuf, Melchemes Amalek. And the fact that it's Kriyas Yamsuf and HaKadosh Baruch Hu changes the nature, it's understandable. But what does Melchemes Amalek have to do with anything? Melchemes Amalek, the fact that there's Amalek, the Nazis, they hate us, they massacre, they murder us, they'll kill themselves in the process. I read recently an Akdama to a book by Rabbi Prager. He writes in the book, an Akdama, Nosson Shum wrote Akdama, Hitler, a few short days before he committed suicide, wrote a letter to the German people, apologizing that he failed. So you think he wrote that he failed the war, he didn't conquer England, France was now liberated, an echten Tag. He failed in his mission to exterminate every Jew. His life, he was a failure because he had Jews still living in Brooklyn and a couple in Poland and 500,000 in Palestine. He was a failure. I personally read with my own eyes a report of a meeting in 1941 that Hitler had with the leading top personnel of the Wehrmacht, the German army, not the SS. And he told them as follows: your job is to wipe out every Jew. And he said, and I quote, if there is one Jewish baby left alive, he will somehow make his way to the Talmud, and the entire nation will be rejuvenated, revitalized, will come back to life. Do you understand who you are? We're what he would call Talmud Yuden. We dress like Yidden, we keep Shabbos, we study the Gemara, Rashi, Taisus, Rishonim, and Acharonim. We're the Talmud Yuden. One baby remains alive, he'll somehow connect to the Talmud, and the whole nation comes back. He realized what the war was all about. It was about us. It was about Irgun Shai Torah, the Boston and Night Girl. About every one of you that are wearing tzitzis and putting on tefillin and raising mishpachas that are loyal to Rebbeinu Shalom v'teirosai. So why would it be attracted to come from Amalek? Why would anybody want to join the ranks of the Jewish nation to experience such horrific anti-Semitism? Ani v'afsi oid, munitions trains that needed to get to the second front, and they're sidetracked to deport 1 million Hungarian Jews directly to the concentration camps. Why would that attract you? Sagt some Sefer Meride Gezach. Moshe Rabbeinu and Klal Yisroel are between a rock and a hard place. You've got the Yam Suf and you've got the Mitzrayim. 600 chariot drivers. Klal Yisroel had 600,000 Jews, males between the ages of 20 and 60. 3 million Yidden. Why couldn't they turn around and beat back their oppressors? 3 million Jews can't take down 600 wagon drivers, chariot drivers. So to some say for one reason, Hakaras Hatev. The Mitzrayim sheltered them, fed them, enslaved them, but kept them alive. They can't fight back. For some say for maybe they're weak-kneed warriors. Maybe they can't fight back because of the fact that they have a slave mentality. Mechemes Amalek prove they can battle and win the war decisively. So why didn't they fight against the Mitzrayim? Because of Hakaras Hatov, Mashmu Hashamu Bo, Kriyas Yamsuf, Mechemes Amalek, it becomes a Yid. This innate nature of a Yid, the Hakaras Hatov of a Yid, that caused Yisroel to join the ranks of Klal Yisrael. So here's Klal Yisrael. And they're so filled with distrust for HaKadosh Baruch Hu that they project that Hashem hates them. Eretz Achilas Yeshveh, the Rebbeinu Shalom engineered. And for 440 years they're looking for these strangers in the wanted head. In the post office, the most wanted man is the Jew. I don't know, Gatash Traimel, Lish Gatash Traimel, Yobod and Peyas, Azayamak, I don't know. But they wanted a Jew. So what does Hashem do? Any town, hamlet, village, city they touched, Levias. People are dying like flies. Why? They shouldn't be noticed. But if you are upset with the Rebbeinu Shalom, it's Eretz Achilas Yeshveh. It's swamp infested, malaria infested swamps. You have tinus. There's a strong tendency for people to project their own feelings towards others and onto others. If you constantly think that other people should not be trusted, it's because you really feel that you can't be trusted. If you think that everyone is going to disapprove of you, you don't approve of others, you really don't approve of yourself. You become out of touch with reality. You have these conspiracy theories. Everybody's after you. But when you smile, you greet them with a full heart, and they smile back. They're a reflection of you. The same way they reflect the negativity in you, the positivity is also reflected. You want to see the good in others? Stop by seeing the good in yourself. Get up in the morning, I have a whole day ahead of me. I can accomplish whatever I want. It's all in the hands of the Rebbeinu Shalom. Whatever I accomplish is incredible. When you feel good about yourself, you'll feel good about others. So Meridike Kotzka steht, Kishem she'ein partzufein doimen zelazeh kach ein deisen doimen zelazeh. The same way the countenance, the facial features of somebody is different than the person next to you. Look to the person to the right or the left if you're still awake, and don't wake him up in the process. And notice his nose is different, his eyebrows are different, his head, his hair, his facial features. So too his dayas are different. This yeshiva, that yeshiva, this Masorah, that Masorah. So why is it when it comes to each other's facial features, says the Kotzka, we're not jealous, we don't get angry. He doesn't look like me, I'm glad he doesn't look like me. Could you imagine a lady goes to a simcha and she sees ladies wearing different outfits? What a chutzpah. They should be wearing what I'm wearing. Everybody should have bought the same outfit on 13th Avenue, on Coney Island Avenue. she breathes a sigh of relief that nobody bought it. If she spots somebody at the other end of it, she's davening that it's not the same thing. When it comes to dress, it's okay that everybody's wearing a different dress. Comes to an outfit, a tie. I remember when I was a bacha, a lot of the fancier ties, those border ties. You walked into chasana and you saw your friend had a tie and the other one had a tie and the third guy had a tie, but they had the same tie. So you were hoping nobody had the same tie. But when it comes to deis, it's my way or the highway. And then you get angry and enraged. How can this person say that, do that, think that? It's up to Kutzka. You're not jealous of the other person's facial features, and you're able to accommodate and live with it. Same thing with deis. Velva Minsberg from the Kiv Yerushalayim said a gewaltige Wort. Kol machloikes shel Shem Shemayim Seifel Miskayim, says the Mishnah, that's the machloikes of Beis Shammai and Beis Hillel. Why was that Seifel Miskayim? He brought rayas that if, let's say, you grew up in a Beis Shammai neighborhood and you went away for Shabbos and the local bezdin was a Beis Hillel bezdin, they would ask you, are you from Beis Shammai or Beis Hillel? And if you said you're from Beis Shammai, they paskin like Beis Shammai for you. And Beis Shammai did the same for the Beis Hillel. They not only will be kiyum in the halachas, shach and taz of Beis Shammai, but also Beis Hillel. And the same thing he says in Yerushalayim with the Sephardish poskim and the Ashkenazish poskim. A Sephardi goes to a posik from the Eidach HaReidus, he knows all the halachas that the Sephardim are supposed to keep. You go to Chacham Avadia, Zeichat Tzadik V'Kadosh Devaracha, he knows all the halachas that Ashkenazim are supposed to keep. How does that work? Kol machloikes shel Shem Shemayim Seifel Miskayim. The machlokes that's not l'shem Shemayim is Korach v'Adosai. In fact, the Goyen of David Povarsky, Roshiva Ponevezh, why doesn't it say Korach and Moshe? What do you mean Korach v'Adosai? It's still in Beis Shammai, you bring down the two litigants, combatants. Korach v'Adosai, Korach and Moshe. Says David Povarsky, because Moshe Rabbeinu didn't fight. It's a one-sided battle. It was Korach v'Adosai against the world. There was a Maisa in Lodz. There was a blacksmith. He was a very boorish fellow, and he was a brute. And there was a slight, soft-spoken fellow who every time he met the blacksmith would pummel him. He'd push it, he'd beat him up. He didn't know what to do. So he went to the Lodgerov and he told him the following. By Meisel, he said, there's a special schooler for these cases. Say Yoshib B'Seis Elyon. Say Yoshib B'Seis Elyon 7 times. So, the fellow comes up, he starts picking with him, and he's about to punch him. Yoshib B'Seis Elyon, Yoshib B'Seis Elyon. Says it 7 times, opens his eyes, the guy's gone. The words spread like wildfire. The Rav is about Shabbat Meifis. His Talmidim came and they said, where did the Rebbe find this makar for Yoshib B'Seis? He said, it takes 2 to tango. What would happen is, the fellow would make a remark about his hat, he'd respond, he'd get angry, back and forth, and they got into a fight. But if he's saying Yoshib B'Seis Elyon, it's one-sided. Try it the next time someone gives you a zug. You know, I've sometimes had this. I remember somebody, whatever, well-intended, not well-intended, gave a shtickle zug about Minneapolis and going back and forth and flying and coming and going. So he gave the zug and I said, I'm sorry, what did you say? He said over a second time. I'm sorry, just one more time? A third time. Can you just clarify what you're saying? But the 4th time he realized he was being a fool and he stopped saying what he was saying. It works like a charm. Next time somebody gives you a zug, either ignore him or just ask him to repeat it. 2 times, 3 times, 4 times, 5 times. Another way of getting people to mind their own business is, for example, somebody wants to know how you got the job. And you don't feel like telling them how you got the job or how you bought the house. So you basically say the same thing again and again, like, the mom should gift from Hashem. Yeah, I know, who's the broker? The mom should gift from Hashem. But who financed it? It's a gift from Hashem. Yeah, but did your in-laws give you money? It's a gift from Hashem. Did your wife sell herself in slavery for a month? A gift from Hashem. After 6 or 7 times, they generally get it. And if they don't, I wouldn't bother answering. There's easy ways to avoid machlokes. But the most important thing is to feel enabled, empowered, and feel good about yourself. Then you see the good in others. How do you see the good in another Yid? There was an incredible Yid in Yerushalayim that many of you probably never heard of. His name was Hagoyin Rabbi Ganachowski. He was a Gan HaGoinim. He was at the level of Reb Chaim Kanievsky. Reb Chaim held that way. So Sheshiva and Shabim. And he always had time for everyone. One time, a younger man had an appointment to see him over Shabbos. The exact time wasn't made up. And as the younger man came to the door of his apartment, he inadvertently rang the bell. It was on Shabbos. He leaned against the doorbell, and he rang the doorbell. And he froze. He's humiliated. He's coming to the Gadol HaDor and he rang the bell. Nobody answers. 1 minute, 2 minutes, 3 minutes. He knocks on the door. Nobody answers. He knocks again. He knocks again. He knocks again. He knocks again. 15 minutes later, Hagoyin Rav Ganachowski comes to the door in his pajamas and he yawns and he says, "I'm so sorry. I was in such a deep sleep. I just didn't notice what was happening." And he brought him in the house and he met with him. Rav Ganachowski never took a nap on Shabbos. Rabbi Ganachowski didn't put on his pajamas. He didn't want to embarrass the fellow that he rang the bell. So he made believe that he was in deep sleep, and that 15 minutes later he comes to the door to open the door. He knew it was a chashvin gaman. He knew he'd be humiliated. Ringing the doorbell on Shabbos, even if it's inadvertent. It's Chol Shabbos, Shoyeg, whatever it is. He didn't want to embarrass him. So you could understand he had sensitivity to Gaman to Talmud Chacham. But he was once on a bus, and a young lady, very immodestly dressed, sits down right next to him. But I mean right next to him. So he turns to her and he says apologetically, "Slicha, yesh li kruspiden." I don't know how to tell you this, but I have kruspiden. She doesn't know what it is, but she thinks it's some kind of social disease, mental disease, some kind of contagious disease. And she says, "Slicha," and she jumps up and she goes to another seat. Rashi says, from Targum Unkel, is kruspiden are tzitzis. The avden lohoin kruspiden al kanfei ksusen. She doesn't tell a lady, "I'm old enough to be a great-grandfather. You're dressed like a prutza. You want to just move away, or I'm going to change my seat?" Absolutely not. Slicha, yesh li kruspiden. I don't know if he started scratching. Yesh li kruspiden. And that was the end of the story. There's so many ways that a person can respect others. And I want you to know they're always watching. They're expecting us, the B'nai Torah, the B'nai Aliyah, the B'nai Aliyah, just to do it a little bit better. To show Taka Drocha Darchei Noyim. And it's a hard mix. You know, if you're a chassid and you're pressing into the Geratish, so where's the Darchei Noyim? But on the other hand, there's nobody like the Ger Chasidim for the Neimus and Edelkeit and Kiruv. It's the same way with Chasidim, with Litvakis, with Sfardim, with the whole world, all of Klal Yisrael. Very often, we're in a certain mode where we press forward. But we have to remember, yesh li kruspiden. Because of that, I act differently. There was a Yid who came to Borough Park a few years ago, Erev Shabbos, and he wanted to get a haircut. It's before Chatzos. So he's looking around for a barber shop, and he has no idea where he's going to get a haircut. And he sees a Yid. He says, "You know where there's a barber shop?" And the Yid says, it's an alta Yid, but a bold. He says, "You know what? I know how to give haircuts. Save yourself $10, I'll give you a haircut." All right, he's getting nervous now because, he might be a nice man, but who knows how he gives a haircut. Didn't have much hair left, so it wasn't like he was able to look at him and to see what kind of haircuts he gives. So he said, okay. He goes into the man's house a few blocks away, and he has clippers and a mirror to look at, to see, and he gives him a very nice haircut. You want to give money? Absolutely not. Chaval of the Yiddish Geld, my pleasure to give you a haircut. Well, it's Shabbos, and he decides Friday night he wants to daven the legendary Shari Yesha Yeshiva on 16th Avenue. Name of Reb Shimon Shkop Sefer. Yusuf by Gedolei Yisroel. So he's sitting in the back a little before Mincha, and he's looking at his Chumash. All of a sudden he looks up, they're about to start, and he sees his barber sitting on the Mizrach Wand. His barber was a Goyen of Yosef Rosenblum. His barber was the Rosh Yeshiva. The Rosh Yeshiva, the Gadol, the Talmud of Reb Aaron Kotler, Mamish from the Gedolei Yisroel. He gave him a haircut. And he had no idea that the Rosh Yeshiva gave him a haircut. And the only way he knew the Rosh Yeshiva gave him a haircut was because of the fact that he was sitting on the Mizrach Wand. He was wondering what's the barber doing on the Mizrach Wand until he chapped he's not the barber. If we realize we're doing it for ourselves, it becomes so much easier. I'll tell you a Meridig Gemaisa. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam shehakol niyeh b'dorei. There's a shul in Bnei Brak, it's called Ichkovich. Anybody been there? Raise your hand if you've ever been to Ichkovich. Ichkovich, many minyanim, and Baruch Hashem, they have an interesting patent that in the hot summer, or the hot spring, or the hot fall, if you want to run the air conditioner, you put 5 shekel in. Sometimes make a collection. A few fellas put the money in together, and you run the air conditioner 15 minutes. It's a good system. Kapanim. So there's a Rav, and he meets a fellow named Reb Shalom from Brussels, in Belgium. He tells him the following Maisa. Many years ago, Reb Shalom was in Brussels, and he went to the airport to drop somebody off. And at the airport, he meets somebody. Just came in from Eretz Yisrael. A fellow with a bald and payas and a child. And this fellow says to him, do you know where I could stay? Lodgings that are reasonable, a kosher place. And he says, you have no place to stay? You'll stay by me the entire time you're in Brussels. And he starts telling him that his child has a very serious heart defect. And the Yidden, the doctors in Eretz Yisrael, they said the only place that can treat you is this hospital in Brussels that specializes in heart ailments. So he says how he came now to Brussels. There's no place to stay. And he's planning on actually going to this hospital. So Absalom says to him, have you secured the finances? And he says, actually not, because I left Eretz Yisrael very quickly. I understand it's very expensive, and I took whatever money I had and some from my relatives, but they told me it's going to cost $150,000 US. So what do you plan on doing? So I figure I'll bring my child to the hospital. They'll do the surgery. They'll treat him. I'll raise the money. It's not going to work that way. This hospital, all the money has to be put down, cash on the barrel, on the table. If not, they won't even take a blood test. So where am I going to get the money? It's dachuf. They told me he has to be treated this week. He says, you know what? I'm going to lend you the money. I have my own money. I'll get some of my friends, $150,000. We'll put it all together, and you'll be able to have your son treated. And kachava. Gave him the money, and Baruch Hashem, the surgery was a success. And now the fellow says he's going to travel to Antwerpen, to Antwerp, to raise the money. Comes back about a month later, and he doesn't know what to say. He didn't raise $10,000, and he had his own $10,000, he needs $130,000. How's he going to do this? So Reb Shalom tells him, this is Bashert Man Hashamayim, I'm not a wealthy man, I'll figure out how to pay back who I borrowed from. I'm Eichel the money. Go back gesund to hate. An incredible act of generosity. He's paying for the surgery, he's taking care of everything. A year later, he gets a phone call from the Sid. You should know that the surgery was a complete success, and my son's in yeshiva. He's learning with great asmad, and it's all due to you. Shalom says, Baruch Hashem. Chazda Hashem HaKabir Shliach. Rahman al-Islan, several years later, Reb Shalom's daughter is stricken with leukemia. It's a very shvera parsha. But B'chesed Elyon, she pulls through, and she has a complete refuah shlema, bill of clean health. She goes to high school. Now she's ready to get married. There's a problem. Even though she's healthy, and the doctors wrote letters that she can have a long and productive, healthy life with children and everything that life brings, nobody was interested in a shidduch. Girl who had this machla, we don't know, it's iffy. They tried, nothing was happening. He decided he's going to go to the only person who can help him, the Rebbeinu Shalom. He lands, he goes straight to the Kaisel Maravi. For an hour, he's pouring out his heart. Shifchi chamayim libech neichach pnei Hashem. Rebbeinu Shalom, I helped others. Rebbeinu Shalom, remember that boy? $150,000, $130,000. I never asked him for a penny back. Please, Rebbeinu Shalom, I need a shidduch for my daughter. He walks away. He backs off. He starts going through the shuk to get back to where he was staying. All of a sudden, he feels a clap on his back. He turns around. He sees a person he seems to recognize. And Reb Shalom, don't you remember me? I'm the Yid who helped you out all those years ago. Why are you crying? He says, by the way, I don't want to brag, but my son is the best bacher in Panovich. Everybody says so. The Rosh Yeshivas, the Gdolim, everybody says he's the best bacher, not just because he's my son, that's the Metzias. And he tells him his tale of woe. He says he has his daughter, and no one will look at the girl for a shidduch because she had not been well once. So he looks at him, he says, it's taka shvera matzav. I have the same thing. My son had that heart defect. He got a clean bill of health, and no one is looking at him. Then the light bulb goes on. You know what? I know your mishpacha. I stayed in your house. You're an Erlich Yid. Your wife's a real tzaddikus. You know me. You know my son. Let's make a shidduch. And they got married. And as they say, they lived happily ever after. Did Reb Shalom think when he was giving $150,000 to this Yid that he was marrying off his daughter? Did he think that he was taking care of his son-in-law? You have to realize that whatever we do in life, we're doing it for ourselves. Like Rachel Imeinu. See the good in others because you're seeing the good in yourself. Rachel Imeinu. See the beauty in each Yid. Rachel Imeinu, she gives away the simonim that she created. She couldn't bear the humiliation of her sister. Zaktu Torah vayizkar leikim es Rachel vayiftach es rachamo. Rachel was not supposed to have shiftei ka, but the Rebbeinu Shalom remembered that Rachel gave away the simonim, and she has a child. You know the pshat that Rashi's teaching us? Rachel thought she was throwing away the key. She's convinced that there's no future. She's supposed to have shiftei ka, but if Yankiv takes a sister, she didn't dream he was going to take 2 wives or take 2 sisters. She was throwing away the key. That key she threw away was the key to her future. But that key opened the rechem for her. Very often in life, we're convinced we're being Moshe Nefesh for others, we're doing it for ourselves. That's the whole Yisod of Chaverim Kol Yisroel. Steht, that there's a chiyuv of following in the footsteps Kaviyachal v'Kodesh Baruch Hu. Kedoshim tiyu ki kodesh ani Hashem Elokeichem. Sagt Reb Shimon Shkop in his Akdama, you know what that means? If you have talents and resources, use them for others. That's what Kedusha means to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. If you're an artist, paint. If you're a musician, play music. If you can help people, use your talents for them. Hillel says, Im ein ani li mili, uchshani la'atzmi moani. If I don't take care of myself, who will? And if I take care of myself, what am I? Well, what are you supposed to do? Take care of yourself or not? Reb Shimon is teaching us that you become an extension of me. The couple gets married. The girl likes jewelry. The boy likes a nice tie or suit. And now all of a sudden he gets a bonus kaitel check and he buys his wife another shaitel. What are you doing? I thought you took care of yourself. I am. She's me. She buys him a mesifta shas. Take care of yourself. I am. He's me. And then all of a sudden you have the matching outfits for the kids and for the eniklach. What are you doing? Spending money on them. I'm not spending money on them. I'm spending on myself. And the greater anoichi is when I take care of the community and the kehila and Klal Yisrael and the entire world and all of Bria. That's what Hillel is saying. It may not need li if I don't take care of myself, mili. Uchshani la'atzmi, but if my ani is only me, mani, I'm nothing. There has to be an extension where I take care of myself, which means I'm taking care of you. And if I see you and me and you, it becomes so much easier. B'sinas Hashem ha'isonu, they hated Hashem, they thought Hashem hated them. When you see the beauty in others, they're going to see the beauty in you. But you have to first feel good about yourself. I would suggest a chiddush. That people should go home tonight and they should throw away their mirrors. And they should replace it with a funhouse mirror. You know what a funhouse mirror is? Takes a heavy guy and makes him look slender. You look in that mirror, you're like 5'10" when you're only 4'3". If you're 5'5", you look like you're 7 feet. If you're a little overweight, you're going to look skinny. Don't look at it if you're skinny, you're going to look emaciated. Feel good about yourself. Why are you always projecting yourself into what somebody else is doing, wearing, living? You know, I want to say something that might insult some people. Steht, and have your attention now. Steht in the Torah what beauty is. What does the Torah say beauty is? The parais that the Torah called yafais were like shtukl chunky. They were overweight. And the ugly parais were the skinny ones. Now, I'm not saying there's anything wrong with being skinny. You got to be healthy. But Verzog beauty is a size 2. People go mishuga. I have a size 2 and a size 0. Person has to realize what you are. Feel good about yourself. Go through life feeling that you're special, and you'll see everybody else is special as well. There was a heilige Yid. His name was Nosson Gestetner. He was Ungarish. He was a Rosh Hashiva of Chacham Lublin. He wrote 70 Sforim, Lomdische Sforim, on Tanakh, on Musar, on Medrash, on Shas, in Halacha, 70 Sforim. He has 50 more Sforim, Muchal L'Tfus. If you want to put out a safer, you can contact the family. I'm sure they'll allow you to sponsor it. Goyin Adir of Nosson Gestetner. He was very not well with Yana Machlar, Chmon Tzalem V'Lechem. And the doctor told his family he only has about a week left. You have to tell him. You have to prepare him. Comes into Rav Nosson Gestetner and he says, before he could say anything, Rav Nosson Gestetner is trusting and learning. He's verempfering a Shverab Kivega. He smiles. Yeah. For Harav, Heilige Rebbe, not much time left. Nosson Gestetner closes his eyes and he starts thinking. 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 20 minutes, a half an hour. He opens his eyes and he says, in our parlance, I'm good to go. Ani Mukhan, I'm ready to go to meet the Bezin Shalmala. He says, the Rebbe is ready to go? I just spent the last half hour reviewing 45 years of my life. And the last 45 years, I didn't hurt anybody's feelings. I didn't insult anybody. Not the Ozeret, not the cleaning lady, not my mishpacha, not the bus driver, nobody. 45 years, I didn't insult anybody. I'm ready to go. He didn't say I have 50 svarim, 70 svarim, thousands of talmidim. I'm one of the Gedolei Yisroel and Torah. I didn't hurt anybody's feelings. 45 years. Okay, so for the past piece of kufa, you've been sitting here either, enjoying or sleeping, whatever, but you haven't been talking, interacting with people. But who could say in the last 45 minutes we haven't insulted somebody? 45 years? If you see the good in other people, there's no reason to insult them. The Kloisenberger Rebbe Zatzal was traveling to Montreal, and he had a driver. And he asked the driver, you know how to get to Montreal? And he says, yeah, Baruch, I know how to get to Montreal. Now we're going to get to the Kloisenberger Stiebel. We're having this parlor meeting. We'll figure it out. He drives to Montreal, and after Tzalachas, they get to Montreal. There's a huge snowstorm. 15 inches of snow. It's blowing, it's freezing, and there's no one in the street. No one to ask. All of a sudden, the driver sees, in the pale illumination of his headlights of the snowstorm, a fella down the block, across the street. He gets closer to him, he sees he's all bundled up, and he's bareheaded. Obviously he's a guy. And he pulls up next to the fellow. And the Kloisenberger rolls down the window. And I have etwas feigen. Man braucht gehen zu der Kloisenberger Stiebel. He's talking to him in Yiddish. And the driver is like embarrassed. What's the Kloisenberger talking to this Canuck? In Yiddish. He notices the Kloisenberger, the fellow's uneasy talking to the Rebbe in Yiddish. So he motions him to come into the warm car. The man sits down next to the Kloisenberger, closes the window, and he says, Ich hab große Teines auf der Rabbeinu Shalom. Starts speaking a flawless Yiddish. I'm angry at God. He took my mother, my father, my children, my wife. I'm very angry at Hashem. So the Kloisenberger takes his hand between his and he warms him up. Doesn't just warm up his hands, but he warms up his heart, his neshama. He talks to him softly for half an hour. The fellow gives directions off into the snowstorm. Fast forward a few decades, and the Kloisenberger has come now for the annual Melava Malka of Kloisenberg. It's a big zal, a big hall. Many people are coming in honor of the Kloisenberger. And the guest speaker was a no-show. The Noam HaKavod. It was a snowstorm. He couldn't get in. So the driver now is the Gabbai, and they honor him with giving the drush in honor of the Kloisenberger. So he gets up, and he tells the hushed audience, the enthralled audience, this story with the Kloisenberger pulling over and talking to the fellow in Yiddish, and the whole Meister of Chad Gadya. All of a sudden, at the end of the story, a Yid stands up near the back. And he says, Rabbi, you look at me. I look like every one of you. Streimel, Kreisel Tepeis, Heisen Azakin. I look like a regular Kleisenberger Chassid. I was that Yid. I was that person. And what brought me back? How did the Kleisenberger know I was Jewish? Why did he start talking to me in the Yiddish? The Kleisenberger figured out that only a Yid who's angry at HaKadosh Baruch Hu and doesn't wear a kappel goes bareheaded in a snowstorm. No a Yid can gain azay bareheaded in a snowstorm. I'm a shuganeh. Where's his Canadian hat? Where's his parka cover? No, Vaz, he wants to show HaKadosh Baruch Hu it's a snowstorm, 15 inches, it's 0 degrees, with a wind chill below, and I'm all bundled up, but I'm bedafka not wearing a yarmulke. Bedafka not covering my head. Who can look at a person in a snowstorm and know that he's a Yid? I know that he's in pain. Victor Miller, a lady came to him and said, Rabbi, I lost Bernie. That's it. I'm not a believer. I'm not keeping the Shabbos. And he said, you're the biggest believer. What do you mean you're not keeping Shabbos? Who are you protesting against? You believe in Hashem. You're just angry at Hashem. Anybody think that way? You know, many years ago, there was I think it was Toyota. I hope I'm not going to get sued, but I think Toyota had a problem with their brakes. And some cleaning lady was driving the car, and she smashed into a wall. That's a lawsuit. Let me ask you a question. If she's a sane lady, did she go out and start hitting the wall, angry that she banged the wall? It's a wall! Why are you fighting with a wall? You're not going to fight with a wall. Ramatl Pragamansky Zatzal in Kovna Ghetto had such a meiser. Ramatl was unbelievable. He was the Rebbe of my Rebbe, Ramotchi Gifta Zatzal, my Rebbe, Reb Chaim Stein Zatzal. Big Mashpian tells you Yeshiva. He was a brilliant Bal Machshove in Goyen. And he's in the Kovna Ghetto, and they tell him there was just an Akaton where they took 5,000 Yiddish kinder directly to their deaths. And people threw the tefillin into the street. There were hundreds of pairs of tefillin. They don't believe in Hashem anymore. He says they believe in Hashem. They're making a macha. They're protesting. Why are they throwing the tefillin in the street if they don't believe in HaKadosh Baruch Hu? Of course they believe in HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Do we look at Jews that way? Do we see someone that's angry at us and realize the reason why they're angry at us is because they really know they're supposed to be like us? I was in Eretz Yisrael several years ago at the behest of the Me'etzes, Yitzchak Fegelstock Shlita, from Chaim Levine Shlita. There was a federation mission to Eretz Yisrael during the Intifada to strengthen the Jews in Israel. And Federation asked if our Kehillah, Bais Yisrael, my beloved community in Minneapolis, would want to send people. So I consulted with the Gedolim, a Federation mission, UJA, and he said, yes, we should go and make a Kiddush Hashem. So 23 members of my Kehillah went, hats and jackets. I told them, you're not allowed to take off your hat. You got to sleep in your hat, you got to take a shower in your hat. You got to show these fellas that the hats, that's us, Shechorim Higiu, we're there. Now, one of the incentives was that the whole trip cost $500, including the airfare and staying in King David Hotel. So, it wasn't like such a schwer decision to make. We had to make our way from Minneapolis to New York, and then for $500 we flew halal, and somehow they saw the rabbi, they pushed me into business. I'm not getting into that. But we were there. It was unbelievable. People became Shem Shabbos because of that trip. Dr. Larry Cohn, others that they were with us. And Poshet, the Eilim was just mesmerizing. I remember that they had other clergymen, from other temples. They had different streams. I'm not going to get into this. And so I would never call the guy rabbi. There was a guy, Norm. That was his first name, Norm, whatever his last name is. So I'd call him Reb Norm. So my son said he's not Reb Norm, he's Abnorm. But anyway, Reb Norm. Okay, fine. So the Pshat is, if you could credit, Chaim Shmuel said I could credit him. Fine. So every one of these clergymen spoke at a different place. This guy, big gathering, Tveria, the mayor was there. And I didn't even remember when I was speaking. I thought I was speaking the third day. Turns out the second day. We come to Chadera, and the head of Federation says, by the way, Rabbi, you're speaking. I didn't even know what to say. We're getting off the bus, and the vice mayor is there to greet us. And his eyes light up. Because he's wearing a kippas ruga. He's a frum fellow, a dati fellow. And he's so excited that he's got real Rabbonim. He's got real Aruch HaYidden coming. Normally the guys that come, he doesn't know what they are. It's unbelievable. So he puts me down next to him. And the Federation guy says, okay, Rabbi, it's your turn. He goes, no. We're going to speak in the town square right outside the clubhouse over here, and we're putting up microphones. So I gave a drosha, and everything I said was like booming. Chadera just had some bombs go off a month before. So I remember, I thought, was soll ich schon sagen? So I said over about Mendel Bais. And Meir Shapiro gave a defense. He knew that members of the Russian Orthodox Church were very well versed with the Gemara. So he sent to the Dream Team lawyers, Rabbi Maza and others, they're going to ask you the following Gemara. They accused Mendel Bais of killing a child, blood libel, for matzahs. Steht in the Gemara in Brachas, Atem kriyim adam, vein akum kriyim adam. They're going to say, the Talmud says, who's a human being? A Jew. If you're not Jewish, you're not a human being. So Meir Shapiro told him, Hebrew is a mystical, magical language. No different words for man. There's a singular gever, and there's the plural kvarim. The singular ish, and the plural anoshim. But when it comes to Adam, the very same word that represents one man represents mankind, billions of people. But if a kid skins his knee, gets into a bicycle accident or a car accident, Khalil, what happens is, people on the block are a little bit concerned. But look what's going on with Klal Yisroel. Atem kriyim Adam, we're all one. Mendel Bais is standing on trial in Moscow, and you've got millions of Jews all over the world praying for him, contributing to him, because we're all one. So remember saying, reverberating in the town square, there's a pigua in Chadera, we feel your pain. Ze oto dam! Ze oto guf! When you hurt a Jew in Chadera, you're hurting a Jew in Minneapolis. We're all one. That's the Yisod of Klal Yisrael. We're all one. And we all feel the pain. So I remember the third day of that mission, we went to a kibbutz. It was like a very exclusive, high-end kibbutz. They plugged in the Ferris wheel for us, like nothing was happening because of the Intifada. So they took good care of us. But when we walked in, the menahelet of the kibbutz, an elderly woman, she says to me, Lo l'shtolel kan, rak b'mekomot hamiyuchadot leglat kasher. Don't tray around over here, don't poke your nose into the kitchen. Only the tables that say glad kosher, because imagine, Federation had glad kosher for us wherever we went. So I said, Aleichem Shalom. So she hears the Aleichem Shalom, she sticks out her hand. So I'm not going to give her a hand. You're from those people. I said, At yadat lama le'noten yad? You know why I don't give a hand? Betach. Ata mefached mimeni. You're scared of me. Like the wicked witch of the west. If I touch you, I'm going to melt. So I whipped out a picture of my Rebbetzin. It was a very nice picture. I said, Ze ishti. V'at choshevet sheni mefached mimech. This is my wife. You think I'm scared of you? This is my wife. Look at my wife. So I said, At rotza ladat lama le'noten yad? You want to know why I don't give you a hand? She says, Ken. Ani mechabed otach. I honor you. Women are not just touchy, feely things. A wife, a daughter, a mother. But to touch another woman, You're on a pedestal. We elevate you. We venerate you. She says, first time I hear things like that. And for the rest of the time we were there, she was like my puppy dog. Harav רוצה לשבת כאן, לשבת שמה, חרדל, ketchup, what does the rabbi want? Ketchup, mustard, whatever you want, this lighting, this table, that table. So as we're leaving, she wants to take a picture with me. And then she tells me, you want to know why I was so angry when I saw you? Nitgadalti b'meya sha'arim. I grew up in Meah Sharim. When I was 15 years old, I bolted and I joined the leftists and I came to this Shomer Hatzair kibbutz. When I see you, that's who I really am. That's who I really want to be. There's no culture kampf. If we express in our eyes and our hearts appreciation for every Yid, which is what we have, there's no tuts, there's no machloikis, we're all the same. To the Goyim it's all the same. My Rebbe Rav Gifter gave a legendary talk years ago before I got to the yeshiva about Zionism as racism, and he said, what Zionism is racism? It's Jewish. They're going after the Zionists, they're going after the Jews. A special din in Zionism. We're all Zionim, like Yehuda Levi. Liebe Mizrach, Anechi B'Soif Ma'arav, we all have Gagum and Kesufim V'Yishalayim and HaKodesh. You got to feel good about yourself. You have to see the good in others. Project you into them, they'll go right back to you. Chaverim Kol Yisroel. The Rebbeinu Shalom will gather us all. That's the ultimate Kiddush HaChodesh. Without Sanhedrin, and without Eidim, and without Drishas V'Chakiras, and without Mekudesh, by saying Amin and Chaverim Kol Yisroel, we'll talk about Yizrach to the Gula Amitis B'Meir V'Yameinu. Amen.
Shem Yegen Shir Terem Moshe Tuvia. I'd like to give a big Yasher Koyach to Rav Lieff for the very inspiring Joshua. We'd like to give a big Yasher Koyach to the supporters of tonight's shir. Palak family, Lenishnos Ramodcha, Ben Tzvi, V'Isha Rivka Bas Ravom Yitzchak, Leah Masholem, Dr. and Mrs. Aaron Mandel, Lenishnos Imam Leah, Bas Achover Reb Chaim, Zgen Levrocha, and the Isaacson family, Lenishnos Harav Shleima, Ben Marina Rav Yitzchak, Zgen Levrocha, the yard sign as a schluss for Havdom Chaim 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 Chaya Sima Rezel Basar Liba. Rabbi Sai, there'll be.
Excuse me, Rabbi Feinstein is Rebbitzin, car accident.
So right after Kaddish. Yeah. We should thank everyone for coming. We thank you, Ben Hashem, Ratzak Eshboch, Lezach Yisrael, Fig Hibram Tar Mitzvah, Shenema, Adonai Chofetz, Aman Tzidkoi, Yagdul Ter V'Yadeh.